Hi, this is Frank Rich from Star Wars Autograph Collection. I am very pleased to have with me today author Ryder Windham. Can you? We're at the Rhode Island Comic Con. Can you tell me what your experience has been this weekend so far at the first ever Rhode Island Comic Con?
It's been fantastic. Working with the Rebel Legion, we organized a blood drive for the event, and thanks also to generous donations to a lot of publishers that I work with, who donated books that I could sell here. We raised, I believe, $500 for Toys for Tots.
That is fantastic. What a great! That's great you're doing that today. So you've been with the Rebel Legion today at the table, sharing table.
I was signing at their table, and it was great fun because I'm now a member of the Rebel Legion. I used to think of myself as I'm an honorary member of the 501st, but because the Rebel Legion so generously gave me an X-Wing costume, that I'm a member.
You are an actual member of the Rebel Legion.
I'm a card-carrying member of the Rebel Legion.
That is fantastic. That table was very busy today. You did have a lot of people come by.
And a lot of people signed up because they were interested in joining the Rebel Legion, and it's a great group. I've for years now I've said that the 501st, the Rebel Legion, the costume fans, they are the best goodwill ambassadors for Star Wars. They make kids smile. They suffer in these. I mean, this is pretty easy, but some with a lot of the head concealing things, and they work up a sweat. So no, I love them tremendously.
Before we get into a little bit about your books, because people know your books and might not recognize you yourself, but before we do that, do you have any autographs that you were looking for today while you were on the floor?
Why, yes, actually. I couldn't wait to meet Lee Merriweather, and I walked up to her and I said, Lee Merriweather, I'm here at the convention doing a signing, and I've had a crush on you since I was 5. And I said, I bet you hear that a lot. She said, yes, I do, but I think I have a crush on you too. And my heart just went boom, boom, boom. She's lovely, and sincerely. I mean, I thought, I can't believe I'm meeting Lee Merriweather.
This was the first time you've had an opportunity to meet her?
I'd never met her before, and it was a thrill. Yes.
We can certainly see it in your face when
I mean, it's like I'm guessing that the expectation was that I'd be talking about Star Wars autographs, but no, actually, it was seeing Lee Merriweather that it was an off the charts experience.
That's fantastic. Well, autograph collecting is very personal, and that's a great example of it.
Yes.
All right, would you talk a little bit about the body of work that you have done over the years? For so many years, you've been an integral part of the library of books that are out there for Star Wars fans. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I started off as an editor at Dark Horse Comics, and I edited Indiana Jones and Star Wars titles, and it was because after I left Dark Horse Comics, Lucasfilm, a friend at Lucasfilm contacted me about writing more Star Wars books, and so I became a writer not by any great ambition, but because of this connection with Star Wars. Subsequently, I think my first thing I did for Dark Horse was Droids comic books, and I also edited Shadows of the Empire, a bunch of titles, Boba Fett with Cam Kennedy and John Wagner, and but anyway, as a writer, subsequently I've worked on role-playing game books for Scholastic, and also juvenile fiction for Scholastic, and I've done technical manuals, blueprints, text, also non-fiction books like The Complete Vader, which is a whole history of the creation of Darth Vader and also his cultural impact. There's Star Wars Year by Year. I was an author on that, and that's a book really just about the whole history of the Star Wars phenomenon, from George Lucas getting the idea for doing a remake of Flash Gordon, but he couldn't get the rights, so he made his own story instead, all the way up through, I guess what I think that it went all the way up through the newest version of Star Tours. I mean, so I've worked. If all the publishers know how to get a hold of me. I've stopped counting. I know it's over 60 Star Wars books, and I'm very excited that there's talk of new movies coming out, so that more movies mean more books, which means more work.
I was going to ask you what your thoughts were on the sale.
I think that when I read that Disney is acquiring Lucasfilm initially, I was surprised just because I didn't expect it, and it took about 2 minutes for me to sink in, realizing, oh, this has really happened. And the more I thought about it, I just thought it's a good. It seemed like what, if not inevitable, it just seemed somehow it made sense. I think I know there are a lot of fans who are already bemoaning the possibility and probable fact that the expanded universe will change because of new movies being made. And this has happened before. I mean, that there have been, I remember in 1978 reading Splinters of the Mind's Eye, and I'd also been reading Marvel's Star Wars comics, and Empire Strikes Back comes out, and it has nothing to do with Splinter of the Mind's Eye or the comic book stories. I mean, not in any obvious way where it's referencing those stories. So, I survived that, and I loved The Empire Strikes Back. So I'm looking forward to new movies too.
Now before your involvement with with comics and you said you read Splinters of the Mind Eye back in the day. When did you become a fan? Were you a fan well before?
I've been a fan of Star Wars, or more specifically, I've been a fan of Ralph McQuarrie since late 1976. I saw concept paintings in Starlog magazine, and I just remember looking at those paintings and thinking, if this movie looks that good, I really want to see this movie. And it was shortly after that my brother came back from a general store with the novelization of Star Wars. And this would have been, I guess, December of 1976. And again, it was that Ralph McQuarrie cover. And I remember that was my first sighting of Darth Vader. I mean, and thinking, I read it, and it's kind of odd in that, I didn't know at the time that Alan Dean Foster had ghostwritten the book. That I saw George Lucas's name on the cover, and that I enjoyed the story. I loved the movie when it came out. I don't know how many times I went to see it in the movie theater. At least a dozen. But that. I guess, so the older that I got, and just looking back on, because I collected all the books at the time, it was McQuarrie's artwork that I just kept on coming back to, because it's just, I'm a lifelong fan of Ralph McQuarrie.
That's fantastic. You've been involved and enjoyed it since, like you said, Ralph McQuarrie.
Since I was about 12 years old. Yeah.
So I'd like to get your take on the newer films that came out, the prequel trilogy, because where you came on board early on with the original. What were your feelings of the new films, the concept, and also how they ended up kind of working out? Well,
I read the screenplays for episodes 1, 2, and 3 approximately 10 months before each movie was released, because I was working on projects that required me to work on them. So I knew what was in the screenplay, I knew what the stories were about. And it's, I guess they were, words fail me. I guess because I just realized, these are for a different generation. There was a lot more talk, in the dialogue, there was a lot more talk about politics, I guess, that, and to me, the beauty of the original Star Wars trilogy is, here's a really big starship that's trying to shoot a really small starship, and the TIE fighters versus the X-Wings that I thought, it's like I can follow, there's good guy and bad guy, and it was very clear. And I think that, and then I watched episode 1, and although I really, I was excited about seeing the pod race sequence, I watched the screen and I thought, this is moving too fast for me. So, it's like I have sort of these, quibbles about them, but the quibbles that I have, I acknowledge they come with age and perspective, because I talk with kids who've seen it, and they love the prequels, and they think that the original trilogy is kind of dodgy looking, or a little, it's like, oh no, it's not as action-packed, and I just think, what, really? So it's, I enjoyed the prequels. There were surprises in the prequels that I didn't expect. Everything from, oh gosh, that Anakin Skywalker builds C-3PO, and how does that affect subsequent stories? So there are things that, as a fan, I thought, oh, that's interesting, but that, everyone who knows me too well, they know that, yeah, I'm like, I like Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back, and after that, I become analytical. So.
That is great. I really enjoyed your insight into the films, the saga, and the work that you've done. And I know you have a Q&A coming up with Peter Mayhew.
Yes.
So I want to give you some time to go get ready for that. But I really appreciate your time, and may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you too.